everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to spend a bit of time talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS4 that released earlier this April. Final Fantasy VII was originally a game released in 1997 on the PlayStation 1 and was widely beloved by many Japanese RPG fans and has become an iconic symbol of the RPG genre today. The remake was announced way back in 2015 and has been widely anticipated since, including myself. The story takes place in a fantasy world focusing on Cloud Strife, a former Shinra soldier turned mercenary who joins the eco-terrorist group Avalanche to fight the Shinra Corporation, who have been draining the planet's life energy. Along the way, he meets a few companions and slowly unravels the mystery behind Shinra, their monopoly on the city today and the threat they carry to the world. Unlike many people reviewing this game, I've actually never played the original game on the PlayStation 1, and instead only known the Final Fantasy VII franchise through spin-offs, YouTube content and watching the movie Advent Children, which acts as a sequel to the original Final Fantasy game. It's a bit of a weird order to have experienced the franchise, but it's given me enough appreciation for the characters to feel like I played the game itself, without not knowing the specific details of the game. I felt pretty fortunate to come into this remake with a fresh pair of eyes, not feeling like I needed to compare any elements of this new game to its predecessor, enjoying the original story being told for the first time. The remake only tells the first part of the original game, set entirely in the city of Midgar, a concrete jungle running off of Mako energy, an energy source produced by the planet. I've heard that the segment in the original game covers maybe 5-6 hours of the gameplay, so I was curious to see how they would flesh out this into a full-fledged game. I suppose my instant reaction to the game is just how beautiful the graphics are. The in-game models look stunning, and in scenes where you go from cutscene CGI to gameplay, it becomes pretty hard to tell the difference between the two qualities of animation as they tie seamlessly together. From memory, I was under the impression that Midgar was a very monotonous and dull looking place. I was concerned with the city of Midgar being too dull of an environment to centre the whole game around. However, the game finds creative and interesting ways to shake up the environment slightly, so that each chapter and segment within the game feels different to its previous. You definitely feel the love that was put into both this game and the original, as every element of the city has been expanded upon and given more context and relevance to the main story plot. All the English voice acting feels natural, and it's pretty hard to find cringe dialogue that you might find normally in a JRPG. The main characters that are Cloud, Tifa, Barret and Aerith look and sound great, and some of the best enjoyment is found in just listening to their conversations bounce back and forth. This happens naturally within fights, cutscenes, and even from just walking from place to place. The music, which was originally composed by Nobuo Uematsu back in 1997, has been given a refreshing resurrection. Even without playing the original, I was well aware of some of Final Fantasy VII's great scores, and I can happily say all the music is back, but now supported by great orchestral compositions. Nobuo Uematsu came back to help work on this project, and I feel like he was able to finally output each song's true range and impact. To me, the gameplay feels reminiscent of Final Fantasy XV, where it has real-time action for basic attacking your enemies. However, it's been slightly modified to give those that enjoy turn-based action some love. Attacking enemies fills up your blue ATB gauge, which then allows you to use spells, items and abilities on your enemies. The player also has the choice to put the game on pause and dish out commands to each of your players, giving the game that turn-based feel if wanted. The gameplay works pretty smoothly. The enemies feel unique and fun to fight against. You actually feel rewarded for learning your enemy's weaknesses and exploiting it, leading to weapon changes, item layouts and strategies playing more vital roles than in traditional hack and slash games. For me, I always enjoyed using weapons and equipment for my characters, and for them to have visual representation during gameplay, for each weapon to have relevance, even in the end game, is a big plus for me. Whilst the game is not as linear as its Final Fantasy XIII predecessor, the map layouts do make it obvious that there is really only one true route you can take, and a branching lane may only be about 100 to 200 meters long with an item at the end, not really leaving much for exploration, which is a shame because the environments are so amazing to look at. But for some who don't want the trimmings and are looking just to continuously progress into the story, that may be a bonus. So earlier, I mentioned that this whole remake is based upon 5 to 6 hours of segment from the original game, and in some segments it certainly shows. I clocked in about 30 hours in the game, which was for completing the main story and doing near every side quest available. You can tell that certain parts of the story feel stretched out, with some tedious task being put into certain parts of the game by the developers with no other objective than what feels like to stretch out the runtime just a little bit more. Stuff like chasing a rat through a sewer or having to ask around town for information in order to complete mandatory side quests whilst we wait for the main story to progress. These things took me out of the game, and it made it kind of obvious that the developers at times struggled to find ways to stretch out the runtime. And whilst the game certainly does drag its feet in a lot of areas for the sake of increasing this runtime, I would confidently say that it didn't affect my experience of the game too much. Most side quests gave you great rewards, making them feel worth doing, and also allowed me to find new exciting enemies to go up against, which enriched my game experience even more. Overall, I can confidently say I don't think this game favours heavily to those that have played the original. Whilst there are clearly some Easter eggs that went way over my head, nothing within the main story was compromised due to my lack of knowledge on the original game. I believe they succeeded in making this remake approachable for those that have never played Final Fantasy VII before. Final Fantasy VII Remake was fun, beautiful, and most of all charming. I almost wish I could forget my whole experience of the game, just so I can replay it again for the first time. I'd say this game was definitely a great time, with replay value for those that love the JRPG genre. I can feel myself picking up this game in a couple of months' time and replaying the story all over again. So there you have it. Thanks for listening guys, and I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know if you did pick up this game and what your thoughts on it are. Stay tuned for more videos on movies, anime and video games. Bye.